more carrots. Don't tear it.
Hey,
What's going on?
how's it going?
So far, so good. How's it going with you?
Oh, it's awesome. Sunny day in California
I,
over here.
this is Eastern Standard Time, so you know it's starting to get dark over here. So I think that's amazing how we're just like on two different time zones connecting, about the same
Exactly.
stuff. I first of all, I got to say I love your name, like the play on MK Ultra. I don't
Thank
think
you.
too many people like. Yo, that is like, I think that was one of my first conspiracy theories that I went down like the deep rabbit hole, and with like not trusting the government. And it's a shame you really can't talk too much about it, but
I know that one is a touchy subject. They
the
want to act
information
like it
is
ended
out
in the
there.
70s.
Or no, it's definitely still going. Like
Oh my
they're
God, yeah.
definitely like controlling people, and like you look at the research with psychedelics. I talk about this. One of my favorite things besides aliens to talk about is like psychedelics, how I believe that they are a true gateway to
Mhm.
expanding your consciousness, as being a firefighter, I come across, I'm like a huge advocate for this. And I just want to say for any of the people in my department who are watching this, I am not advocating doing psychedelics, but I will say there is scientific research showing that just doing like the psilocybin alone from magic mushrooms like expands your consciousness. It helps with depression. It was like LSD was, for example, was going to be added to the 12-step program. Like
Oh
the
gosh,
stuff
wow.
that is beneficial for us is like they make it illegal. Like, why am I our department spends at least like 5 grand per person a week just to drug test people. It's
Oh
like,
my
yo,
gosh.
like alcohol, like real talk, like alcohol is truly what's killing everybody. Like
It's true.
you
And
look at drunk drivers, like those are the ones who are like causing chaos. Like the calls that I respond where people are smoking marijuana, like they take too many edibles and they just fall asleep. Like it's nothing.
yeah.
So
So, oh my God,
um
I didn't know you were a firefighter. That is so cool because, regardless of everything that happens, people still love firefighters the most, you know?
I try to keep a separate, like my content is out there. Like I get made fun of at work all the time for my
Really? Oh my
content.
God.
So I
Meanwhile,
try to like keep it separate.
everyone in the comments is so excited to see you because, I don't think anyone's really got to see so much of like you yet. So that's really
Mm,
cool. And
No, this is actually my first live. Like I've never done a live before, so it was great. Like once someone said like the video, like we could get to that because I'm sure that's what they want to talk about. But the video that they like we're both passionate. They said that you're doing a whole series about like ET, and let's go ahead and hear your take on this. I want to hear this.
I mean, I think we have a very similar because kind of like watching your video, it's like we're kind of like saying like the same thing. But I want to know because I think we're both kind of saying the same thing, but do you think that the Anunnaki is one species or multiple species? Because that's kind of the big
So
debate.
So here's the thing, like if you look at the story of the Anunnaki, like they came with a slave group of aliens called the Gigi, and they kind of had their own rebellion and they kind of revolted. And it's interesting to like think that like these Gigi, when you look at paintings and whatnot, they almost look like serpents. So it's like you have
Mhm.
different races, like you have different races of people, you have different races of these extraterrestrial, and you have like your grays, your like, and I see a lot of people in the comments who are like, oh, these are demons, and it's like all up to interpretation. Like, when you look at these various mythologies, it's all allegorical. Like it's all up to your interpretation. And I had a good conversation with a guy earlier prior to this live. We talked about how you look at like Greek mythology and how, like, if you look at how the story of the Anunnaki, then you have the story, the Book of Enoch, and then you look at Greek mythology. What do they all have in common? They all have a great deluge. Titans are in Greek myth, like in mythology. Giants, are titans, giants, titans, Nephilim, same thing. So it's
and
like
the things that
all
they're
these,
teaching too, they're all
correct.
teaching the same thing: astrology, astronomy, constellation,
Yes,
the weather, telling time, measuring the moon around the cycles. And it's like they kind of
right.
were all teaching and representing the same things.
So, and I want to touch on that because I know I have a lot of flat earthers in my comment section too. Me personally, like I don't know what to believe at this point. Like, and
Same.
I saw an interesting map in regarding like flat earth, and it's just like you look at like the ice wall, and it's like multiple maps that are like connecting to like you, and it's set one land. It's like I'm trying to think of a particular game like where it's like it almost looks like a game map where it's like you get past this, you get past the ice wall, you get to the next level of the map, and you get to the next board. And I think that these beings, they are technically outer worldly being, whether you want to believe in space or you want to believe in flat earth. They're not from here, So whether you want to look at these godlike beings, like I just posted a video in regards to these beings being godlike, because I talk about how because someone asked a good question. They were like, why don't we see these aliens anymore? Like, where are they? Like, and I'm convinced, like, I don't know if you're into meditation and whatnot, and I'm convinced that like these angels are these frequencies that you tap into, like that is you tapping into the ether. These beings are light beings. They're like on a like astral plane.
Yeah.
And certain ones you can tap into them when you meditate, and people are like, if you do psychedelics, and this is why most of my content like connects, because I talk about psychedelics, I talk about accessing like a higher dimension, a higher realm. And if you do psychedelics, you do these different gateways, or as I say, like these portals. Like people don't realize, like sound alone is a portal. Like we are keeping your consciousness low, on a low vibration, with this crappy music we put out now. Like
Exactly.
like
The music,
sounds,
especially.
yes, because think about it. When you listen to a songs and smells in particular, there's one particular song, like you hear the song and it just instantly takes you back to like 19 whatever year. Like you hear that song and it just plays, and it just like your mind instantly goes down and follows a frequency down to that timeline. You start smelling smells that were familiar from that time period. So yeah, like that's one of the things like where I try, like I'm gonna get to that eventually, because like you have this series about like that, because I like the close in contact of the third, like close encounter video that you have pinned, because that was actually one of my first movies that I watched with my grandfather. Like he had full surround sound. It was dope. But there were just certain movies that like I feel like there's some truth to that. And I can list 3 movies off the top of my head where I highly recommend everybody who's watching right now, and just go ahead and watch Knowing with Nicolas Cage. Like it's like a very big biblical aspect to it, but at the end you could see these light beings like that take the kids on an ark to like another planet, because the world was ending. So you could see like,
so it's kind of like a New Earth 5D shift type of.
Exactly. Like these kids were able to pick up the frequency from these light beings, these beings that, and you could see like when they ascend, they kind of have like angel wings. So I'm like, think of our primitive brain back then, like seeing this land. Like if we see this today, like we would have no choice but to worship. Like, and then you look at Avad, it's worship. Like that's what when you look at the story of the Annunaki, they said that they came and they created the humans to worship them, and they were there to mine gold. Now, what's interesting is like you look at Norse mythology, like some of the leprechauns, gold is a common, like it's believed that some of these gods were like, there's a common theme of gold. And gold was
I never even thought of that, of the leprechauns, that the pot of gold is what they're after.
There's gold is a common theme because these these beings like gold, you look at NASA, like they use gold on their satellites because it has like radiation protection. So gold has like strong properties. So it's like one of those minerals that is like, I guess that's what they were searching for. So they came here, found it, and then you look at like the planet Nibiru, like if you believe in Planet X, like it's all these movies, like they hint that it's like on a collision course with us. And it's just like, I don't know what to believe anymore. Like, honestly, like, I don't know whether to believe like Earth is flat. Like,
or the
I'm all
firmament
for
idea, where it's that one is the most convincing. If you're going to go alternative to the globe, then the firmament is kind of the one that could get you, you know?
Yes. Like, cause I saw it's so weird. I feel like TikTok reads my mind sometimes. Like, I try not to look at my timeline, but every once in a while I'll open the app and then I'll come across a flat earth video. I don't know why, but it just come across a flat earth video. And to get back on the topic of kids, like you see how kids, they question everything. Like 9/11, for example, I'll digress and get back to what I was saying, but 9/11, I was one of those kids like that asked my mother, I was in the 5th grade at the time 9/11 happened. And I asked my mom, I was like, why did Tower 7 fall? Like, I never understood, like, why did that tower fall? It didn't get hit with the planes or anything. And as a firefighter, you have to learn, like, there's a good book called Collapse Building, Burning Buildings and whatnot, that, like, in order to become an officer, we have to read it. And you look at, like, they deal with all type of structures and like structural integrity of like most buildings and the type, like you learn about the type of building and what it takes for them to fall. And that building looked like it was just like a straight collapse, like a plan. Like you can't tell me like that was like a type 1 construction building that just burns straight through and collapses demolition style. I don't like talk about 9/11 because that's what gets you banned. Like we'll never do a live again. So I try to stay away from 9/11 conspiracies, and I try to stay away from the other one we talked about, which we're not going to say because they like to,
there's a couple of like real hot topics that will get you taken down so quick. A lot of the other stuff, they'll kind of like play with you for a little while, a violation, let it slide, don't approve a video. But then there's a couple topics that
my old account was literally deleted. And I think it's funny how TikTok plays you, because they literally they'll like, I could post something and I'll appeal it. Like, yo, I didn't violate any violation, so why is this counting against me? And I'll appeal it, and then it counts. So the more violations you have, the more closer you move to your account being deleted. So I had so many violations, they eventually deleted my account. Like I was almost at 1 million.
And the thing is it can happen. They tell you that like there's no specific number. They can always at any point decide that that's the one.
And I argued that I won all of like the case, like the appeals and whatnot. But I just learned to try to stay community guideline friendly. And like I'm seeing these comments, they're like going crazy. Like
I know we're seeing different comments too. So
like this is welcome everybody. Like I don't know, like I always have the meaning, like I don't care about the likes, I don't care about who's on. I just know that whoever is in this live right now was meant to see this live. You're meant to just get knowledge that I don't even like, content that I don't even have out yet that is coming, but I'm just dropping it early, like because I literally talk to myself, because I call them ether downloads, because these are literally the universe is giving me these messages to give to you all. So everything that is coming to my mind right now is literally just an ether download. So I'm glad that we were able to connect, because I think I first came across your account because of the Mandela Effect, which I want to address. Now, what are your thoughts on the whole Mandela Effect?
So I think that there's kind of a couple possibilities, and I kind of think they're all true. I do think it's connected to CERN putting a little microscopic black hole to see what was on the other side. I think that's part of it. Also, I think that the universe has one main timeline that is a successful timeline that we're going to, as far as we stray, we will always come back to. Unfortunately, the timeline that we lost had all the good catchphrases from every show, every movie. They took, that was like the sacrifice for the universe to be successful, was we had to get rid of all the good catchlines.
Like, so quick question. What do you remember when it comes to Forrest Gump? What is the catchphrase? I'm not even going to say it, but I know you're probably going to say the same thing.
Well, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
That's exactly what the catchphrase was. I was watching Scary Movie the other day.
Oh my God, that one is ridiculous.
Where he's like, I remember take my good. I remember, like, he didn't say what he said in this. Like, I was like, hold on, wait, did he just say that? Like, that's not what he said.
When he says, I see dead people, I'm like, but wait, where was the joke?
Yeah.
Which was
literally... and everybody has their own theories. Like, maybe we are all experiencing a form of memory loss. Like, and I get, like, I play devil's advocate with everything. Like, you can have a form of memory lapse where, like, shoot, I don't even remember what I had for dinner last night, but let alone like a movie that came out 10 years ago. I'm not going to remember certain phrases, but certain phrases do stick with you. They're like earworms. They stay in your ear and they just stick.
And the most famous ones, it's always the like biggest thing from the show or the movie.
Right. And it's just like, how is this not a thing? So my thoughts, and if you all like are on, like, I posted a entire video like regarding, because someone sent a comment and said the reason we invaded Iraq was so we can give the information for the portal over to CERN. And that's when I really, like, I'm probably like an open-minded thinker, and it's all connecting. So I first started the series with the Mandela Effect, where I talked about how, okay, you have the Mandela Effect, where it feels like we were this. You have two. I believe there's a multiverse, so you have two different timelines, like, that are just going parallel. And you and I were on this one where life is like a box of chocolates, and life was like a box of chocolates, and they just intersect like this, and then that intersecting point is that point where certain people remember this way and certain people remember that. So it's like we were parallel, but now we're like going like this. Like, that is like one of how these timelines are intermingling. But where I found it as a deep rabbit hole, where the whole we invaded Iraq, and it goes to understand that the Stargates conspiracy theory, because remember how I was getting ready to allude to, there's certain movies that I just watch and I'm just like, there's some truth to that. If you watch the movie Stargate, like the 1994, I highly recommend people go back and watch Stargate and knowing. But Stargate, they talk about how these beings, it was a parasite, Ra. It was a parasite that came and pretended he was the sun god Ra, and he took slaves with him to a planet on a, like, light years away through a Stargate. So now, when you go back, it was just something of, I'm like, 1994, I don't know, I might have been like 5 years old or something when that movie came out, but something about that movie, like, as a 5-year-old, I was just glued to it. And I was just like, and I rewatched it, and I'm just like, yo, they're putting the truth in plain sight.
Wow.
Like, so you could see, like, they had this Stargate where they took all the slaves and put them in their ship, and not a ship, they took them in the portal, and they created a slave race on another planet, and he made, like, writing and all that stuff.
Sounds like some Scientology shit too. It sounds like the Scientology story, basically, that the Lord Xenu took the aliens to make them, like, work on Earth, but then enslaved them and then threw them in a
see how this is
volcano
all connecting, right?
probably portal.
So you see how this is all connecting, like how they took this slave race of beings, and then they just like you look at the story of the Annunaki where they imprison the giants, the fallen angels, the Book of Enoch, they're imprisoned in Earth. But with Stargate, where this whole CERN comes into play, where you look back, like you look in the movie Stargate, where you show the British excavating the Stargate in Egypt and whatnot. Well, you minus Egypt and you go to Iraq, ancient ancient Mesopotamia, and that is where the so quote unquote lost technology was. And I did a whole series about how King Nebuchadnezzar, that the Bible mentions, like the fiery furnace being that Stargate, like that fiery furnace was the lost alien technology that Saddam Hussein recovered and was activating that same portal.
That's the weapon of mass destruction.
Exactly. That was the true weapon of mass destruction. So you fast forward to a few years, like you look at Lord Shiva as the statue. Shiva is the one who's known to destroy the universe. And she's Shiva's not can be he or she, but Lord Shiva is the god who danced the universe into existence and will dance its way, like, to destroy it. And you see there's like a portal behind the statue, and they've discovered a God particle, which, quote unquote, according to Stephen Hawking, is said to would destroy the universe. So it's very interesting how those two things. But according to the theory, you look at George Bush, you notice the two presidents who were in office when we went to Iraq was George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. One of them, the first attempt, like when Saddam Hussein uncovered the Stargate, it was around the same time that George Bush Sr. was the director of the CIA. Now, you know, the CIA has I'm like 10 minutes away from the CIA down in Langley, but they have their nose in everything. So they're probably listening to me right now.
As always.
Of course. So they knew that he had the ability to activate this Stargate. Wow. So they wanted to stop him. That was the weapon of mass destruction. So what they did was they ended up figured out, how are we going to do this? Like, it's either you're going to work with us because we want this technology, or we're going to take it away from you. And they did just that. So once he became president, we're going to go to war for oil and other resources and whatnot. But the first attempt was the failed attempt. The second attempt was the successful attempt. Now, CERN has the ability to create these portals. And now we are living in multiple realities because they activate it. Now, this is just a conspiracy TikTok. Like, don't take it with a grain of salt. But if you're an open-minded thinker, just try to connect the dots. Like, so that is possibly one of the reasons why we have multiple realities going on at once. Like,
and I think the reason that we remember it is because we're the people who came here to remember what we already knew. So it's like, I think that's the reason why, you know, some people are like, obviously every time you post about Mandela Effect, you have a lot of people in the comments that are like, oh, well, see, some people, they're so stupid, their memory. And then it's just like the weirdest, you know, comment, but it's like, the reason I think a lot of people remember it is because, like, this is part of what our souls came here to remember. And this is one of those things on the timeline that kind of like triggers all these people to be like, okay, so different timelines are real, which then breaks the parameters of what we believe, which is how we could actually change time and the timelines.
So, speaking of that, I don't know if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon.
My favorite.
Okay, so you're familiar with the Journey of Souls, how it's so weird how
it's my favorite book, literally.
One of my most
that I tell everyone to read.
Yes, like one of my most viral videos was where I was like telling people last year, I was like, what if I were to tell you that you picked your parents, you picked your lovers, you picked everybody who came on this planet that you encountered because you were meant to learn a lesson in a 3D form. And you're going to keep coming back until you learn this lesson. Like you literally get your soul tribe, your soul family, everybody that you come in contact with. Like, and I truly believe in reincarnation. Like, you listen to like these kids, they're really tapped in. Like I can assure you that everybody on TikTok will, if you post a reincarnation video, everyone's going to have a story like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
my son told me that he came and chose me to be his mother. If I had $1 for every time I've heard that, like it's like I've I feel like there's more evidence backing up
Mm-hmm.
reincarnation than anything else. Like if we want
I
to, you can call it a conspiracy. I don't even think that's a conspiracy. Like that's
I
just
feel like it's starting to get pretty like the way that like aliens used to be weird and now it's like, oh, of course everyone believes in aliens. I feel like that's
right.
what we're getting with reincarnation is that there's a lot of people that are kind of just being like, well, I mean, it only makes sense.
Right, like it's like okay, like it's the cognitive dissonance that like you have hardcore like people that are stuck in their faith, and like me, I don't really follow. I love learning about every religion because you could see the different dots. But I grew
Mm-hmm.
up Christian, but I kind of like branched out and learned everything, and you could see like how they all tie into each other, and like reincarnation is one of those things that I really picked up on. I'm like, there's definitely some truth to this. Like I've seen kids who like not I've like seen the stories. Like one of my favorite stories was one of I think his name was James Lineker. He was a World War II pilot, and this is me being a fan of history. James Lineker was a World War II pilot, and he remembered where his plane was shot down. He remembered all his buddies from World War II, was able to contact them, and they all felt this energy that was familiar. They were like, "Yo, it's like he was there." And I think there was a good show, Ghost Inside My Child, that like talks
Mm-hmm.
about this. And there was also this one story about this kid who's like he remembered being a black woman like that died in a fire, and he said his name was Pam, and like when he was growing up he was like into like dressing up, into like wearing high heels and like high fashion, very expensive stuff, and he remembered he was scared of fire, and he remembered like he
Wow.
died in a fire. Then his mother looked up the information. It's like I got chills because his mother looked up the information and she saw that there was indeed a Pam who died
Wow.
in a fire in Chicago. Like she just was like searching. And then he was like, yeah, that's me. And it's like these kids lose this by the time they hit maybe like 6 or 7, because I feel like when you're younger than that, like you're
Mm-hmm.
like you're no longer closer to that veil. Like you old the elderly, I think being a firefighter is one of the things that really truly started my spiritual journey, because there is like, if anybody watching can attest to this, like when an elderly person knows they're going to die, they're
Mm-hmm.
100% accurate. And I know for a fact, being an EMT firefighter, there is nothing that we're going to do to save them. You can pray all you want, but when they start seeing relatives, like that is them getting closer to that
Mm-hmm.
veil because they're getting ready to go and maybe
Wow.
come back, or maybe they learned their soul journey. But kids, elderly, like they're one's going this in, one's going that in, but they both feel that like they're both close to that veil where they know. Like, and I recommend like everybody read this book called the Law of One, the Raw
Mm-hmm.
contact, where it's like Raw is like this high density being who comes back and he talks through a channeler, and he explains about the pyramids, he explains why they were built, he explains like why people reincarnate, like how our consciousness alone evolved from plants. Like, and you can
Mm-hmm.
see at even at the lowest levels of life, we are indeed connected to plants. You can talk to a plant and it will be receptive to it. Like you can talk nice to it and it will
Mm-hmm.
grow. You can talk negative to it, and negative, this literally a former CIA like lie detector, forgot his name, it's not coming to me, but he conducted a study where he connected the plants to a lie detector, and he showed the spikes when you started talking negative to them. Like it showed a negative impact. So just that information right there goes to show that there is a profound form of consciousness that still connects us even at the lowest form of life. And according to the law of one, we evolved from that form of consciousness. Like and it was like a million-year process, but we constantly are evolving, and
so many different beings involved in the process.
Right. And this is where it's all going to tie together, because I said that how, like, there was somebody asked a question, like, why can't we see these aliens, these light beings anymore? And to answer that is because our consciousness is still at a low scale. Like, we are still in the third density. Like, there's a lot of people who still need lessons that they need to learn. Like, these beings are higher dimensional beings that are they guide us. You want to talk about your spirit guides? These are the beings that are guiding you, moving you to your purpose. Like I said, like, I feel like in the book, in the story, the egg, which talks about Hindu metaphysics, where it shows that you have to live the life of everybody in order for you to be an all-seeing God. So once you you come back to Earth and live the life through peasant in China in like 600 AD or whatever, and then you come back and you're like John F. Kennedy, like, and then you come back, you're John Wilkes Booth. So it's just like you are coming back at all these different times periods, learning all these lessons, and your consciousness is evolving. So once you live every life, so the concept is like we are doing everything to ourselves. Like, so everything that you do to you're everything you do to someone else is really doing it to yourself. And that's just the theory. But it's weird how these books all kind of tie together with similar like ideologies, where they talk about how you come back and there's a form of consciousness that is being sent back. Like, I feel like I did a whole thing on the theory of like deja vu and like whatnot, where I feel like the deja vu that you experience. I don't know if you saw the movie Interstellar.
What? Everyone is mad that I haven't seen it.
That is probably by far, like, I don't really give movies 10 out of 10s, but if I were to say where there's any movie that I like recommend anybody watch on this, I definitely say watch Interstellar. Like, Interstellar is hands down, like, it's going to take your mind on a journey. Like, if you're having a bad day or like you go through a breakup, watch that movie and your mind will just completely drift away. So
I hear it's a lot like Journey of Souls, that it's like when I've talked to people about Journey of Souls, they're like, oh, that kind of sounds like Interstellar. And I'm like, really? Interesting.
I don't want to give it away because I want you to watch that movie, because it's I like my mind to be just blown, like that movie is one of those movies that definitely took me on a journey. And it pretty much like, you just I can't give it away because it's one of those movies you got to watch it. But I did a video kind of similar where how
everyone in the comments is really excited about this movie. Everyone loves it.
Oh yeah. That Interstellar is hands down the best movie. Like, if you're into our content, you would definitely be into the movie Interstellar. So, and you read the Journey of Souls, like it's interesting because I said that before watching Interstellar, I felt like, so when you look at, like, not to be too deep, but like you look at a light year, like, and look at how far one light year is from us. Like, it's going to take us millions of years to get to somewhere that's like, I think the Andromeda galaxy is like maybe 4 something million light years. I don't know the exact number, but a light year, it's going to take you like a long time to get to. So like your consciousness is faster than the speed of light, speed of sound. Like your consciousness like travels to different realities. And I feel as if like when you have these moments of like deja vu, these are nudges like from the universe, your higher self nudging you that you are going in the right direction. Like any notion of deja vu you have, that is the universe saying, this is the path you're supposed to be on. So
And that's like in Journey of Souls when they go through the, like, basically like the review room where you kind of review very small moments of your life. And that's how you know that you're on the right path. And it's like, that's basically what deja vu is like these little moments that you've already been told about. So then when you're there, you know that you're doing the right thing. Right.
So I know that, like, in the law of one, it also tells you, like, when you ascend, you can choose the evolution. It's like a path you can take. When you want to move on to another density, you can take the evolutionary journey to, like, service to self, or you can take the evolutionary journey of service to others. Mm-hmm. Now, Jesus and many of the ascended masters who took this journey took the service to others route, and then they ascended. And that's the route you're truly supposed to go. You're supposed to have that service to others and spread your teaching, spread your knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's why the raw contact, like, is like the law of one is definitely something I recommend everybody check out, along with the movie Interstellar. Like, in Journey of Souls, like, this is why I said it's kind of hard to really script these lives, like, where it's like the conversation can go, because
it's like so a podcast basically.
It is, and that's the beauty of it. And someone actually commented, because I have the comments going live, like, how the pyramids are perfect, like perfectly aligned. And, like, I don't want to discredit, like, our ancient ancestors, like in ancient Kemet and whatnot. Like, they're definitely, I don't want to say like they were helped, but my gut tells me, like, some higher being, like, what if it was ourselves? Like, what if it was ourselves? We traveled back in time and we helped ourselves advance, like, or we used
and us meaning like us in a multiverse, different
exactly
place. Like, we're living, it's ourselves living on another planet in another time.
Yeah, and this is why, like, when I tell people there's like a God in you, like, there's a God within yourself, like, there's a higher being within us all. And people are like, oh, that's like devil talking or whatnot. Like, no, this is literally like your higher self. It's real. It's a thing. Like, you can meditate to access it, and you can tap into a frequency. You hear yourself talking at times, deja vu moments, and so, like, but as far as the art of time travel, I don't think it is like the Back to the Future time travel. I think it's like a form of consciousness time travel, where you have these portals, these frequencies that take you back to different time periods. So I do feel as if there was some divine intervention when it comes to the pyramids. Like, when it comes to, you look at all these ancient cultures, like a pyramid. Oh my gosh, this is a rabbit hole within itself. Like, 'cause I love talking about the pyramids, because there's supposedly a dark pyramid underneath Alaska that's like suppressing the consciousness. Like, and pyramids, like, most of them are made with crystals. Like, anyone who knows the power of crystals, like quartz crystals, like electricity and whatnot. So a lot of these pyramids, like the pyramids of Giza, were lined with like quartz crystal, capped with gold. Nikola Tesla tapped into this frequency, created electricity. And a lot of these, you look at a lot of these cultures, like, there's pyramids across the world. Like, and my favorite thing is, like, I know that frequencies, energy, crystals, all that are all interconnected. You look at Lake Michigan has a Bermuda Triangle. Lake
I know
Michigan
you said
has
that in
its
one of
own
your
form
videos. That's crazy.
Lake Michigan has its own form of the Bermuda Triangle, but there's like a Stonehenge kind of like a structure underneath the lake.
Wow.
There's supposedly a pyramid in the Dragon Triangle, in the Devil's Sea. There's also a supposedly quote unquote pyramid in the Bermuda Triangle, and it's emitting a form of energy, like a negative vortex. And that's why these ships and planes are like going missing. These people are going missing. And like, I think that if you know the power of frequencies, you know the power of the way your mind can travel on a frequency, like, these natural geomagnetic anomalies. Like people don't realize we power the earth. Like we're all connected. So like our thoughts connected, our thoughts, consciousness are all powering these ley lines. And I really believe like our ancient ancestors knew that. That's why most of these pyramids are lined up on like intersecting points where these ley lines connect. And they're just
pointing to certain star systems, and
right.
it's so interesting.
So it's almost as if like ourselves, our higher selves, are these light beings. They like had left clues on how to contact them, you know?
And
like
one of those clues also being like plant medicine and stuff too. That
yeah, like
that's a way to contact them.
And that's why I said I feel as if they're like we go into the different races of aliens, different beings. There is a negative entity, these negative beings who you can consider demons or whatnot, that are here to suppress this consciousness, that they want the stuff that will get you to the gods illegal. Like the earth naturally supplied us with everything. Your crystals, they're big with healing. Your teas, like before, like psychiatrists, like we had crystals that help with our imbalances, and you have teas that help. You have psychedelics. Like it's just so many different stuff that's naturally grown in the earth that allows us to like heal ourselves. And it's so weird how I did a video on how like the Western medicine system was pretty much founded based off of like Andrew Carnegie and Rockefeller working hand in hand to abolish like herbalism and whatnot. Like they completely like took it in. Like you look at Carnegie, he funded these medical schools, and it's like everybody's learning the curriculum where they're like it's hand in hand. Like I did a video about the guy who learned how to turn water into fuel. So it's just like when Rockefeller knew that petrochemicals can create medicine, that's what they started pushing down everybody's throat. And like, you know, like these petrochemicals are linked to causing cancers, like, and they're linked to just a lot of just health and sickness. Like, let me tell you something, like at work, my elderly patients, the ones who are healthy, like, you know what they say? They might take like a multivitamin here and there, or they'll take and they walk and they read, like they keep their mind sharp, like they walk, they read, my unhealthy patients, you know, the CVS receipts full of like that you get when you leave, like I'm not even kidding you, like their list of medication is as long as those CVS receipts. Like, and those are the ones who are bed confined, really sick, because they have medications interacting with those medications, and they're like just messing their insides up essentially. So it's just weird how I post videos and I talk about how my supplements, like that, because when COVID was around, I talked to people how I only got it once, and I'm unjabbed, and I still was able to function at work without getting the virus. And I told them, like, I gave the supplements that I took, and I didn't get sick. Like, I know we're off topic. Like, we went from one extreme to another.
And you posted that on TikTok?
I posted it on TikTok.
That's very controversial stuff.
Instantly deleted. And in fact, somebody even went to my job and said, "Why is this firefighter giving like medical advice?" I'm like, "No, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm saying what I do."
It's crazy how people want to come to your job. That's like the first place people go.
Right. Like they went to attack me
that's
there.
It.
Like,
I need to try to get this person fired because I disagree with someone's opinion online.
Some Karen out there was literally like, I noticed with my videos, like the male and female, like men, between men and women, Like men are really like in the comment section, like you're an idiot, fuck you,
Yeah, there's
like with
definitely more of
everything.
my, almost all of my nasty comments, which I don't get that
They're
many,
from men.
are, yeah, they're always
They're
from men.
always from men. So men, like, they're the ones who are usually the ones who are like more aggressive in the comments. And I don't really mind, like, I don't pay attention to comments, like, unless
Yeah.
it's like an interesting, like, engaging comment where I'm like, oh, okay, I can talk about that. But like the negative comments, I'm just like, it's all fake to me. Like, so it's just like, I just
I
let
just
it,
block
like,
them. I like
I,
block so heavily
I
that
don't even
it
do that.
creates a good community for everyone to just talk about their experiences, because all the assholes are like not allowed to be there. So I
Right.
actually, when they do comment, they give me the indicator that they need to be blocked.
Look, I don't, I just let it ride. I'm like, yo, everyone's entitled to their opinion, unlike certain social media platforms that don't allow that. Like, I'm like, yo, you're entitled to believe what you want to believe, but it's not going to hurt me at the end of the day. I'm going to keep it moving. So I'm going to let you comment what you want, but like, it's not hurting my feelings. Like, I got a whole
Oh
life
no.
outside of here. Like,
No, like
and
this is, I've talked about this on other lives too, that it's like the skeptics are only hurting themselves because I'm on the greatest adventure of all
right.
time. This is a
We're,
cosmic, thousands of lifetimes long adventure that I am on to shift the planet to the fifth
look,
dimension. You're
I've been
totally not
saying,
hurting my feelings.
I feel like everybody who's probably still on this live and is watching, and everybody who connects and follows our content, I always felt like my mission, and maybe I was like taken out in the past, like where I was meant to spread this knowledge. Like I was always
Exactly.
going against the grain. Like some part of me, like, and why I talk about reincarnation, because like, and I think everybody can tap into their like past life regressions and whatnot through meditation. When I was in New Orleans, 2020 Mardi Gras, there was something that like was connected with me there, where I was like, I've been here before, and I knew that there was a pirate bar, like this bar, without even doing any research. I walked down there, I was like, this used to be a pirate bar. Had no idea how I knew that. And then that's when I started doing, like, New Orleans was a big pirate hub. So I was like, maybe I need to do like a past life regression and like dig
Ooh.
deeper into like, was I a pirate in a past life? And then like my current girlfriend, like when I first met her, I instantly felt this connection where I drew the two and two together. It was like I saw, like, my visions come in dreams. Like when people
Uh-huh.
don't understand, like your dreams, like the ancient Egyptians were heavy with dreams because they wanted you to be able to master the art of astral projection. They wanted you to master the art of lucid dreaming, because that is how you know that you are dead. If you don't master those two concepts, you're not going to know, like, when you do die, am
Wow.
I really dead? Because it's all going to feel like a dream. That's why, like, you have so many of these energies that are still stuck here, and that's the, what you want to call them, ghosts. I feel like those,
Oh no, you're breaking up. There you go.
these different entities. Oh yeah, because I think I was, my service was acting up. But there's these different entities that are like still stuck in like
Mm-hmm.
that time period, because like maybe they didn't accomplish something, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
didn't reach what they were supposed to. But I feel like your consciousness, like your dreams, like I write. There's a difference between a dream. You're gonna forget a dream, but you have visions. Those are the ones. Those are the dreams, are the things that come to you when you're sleeping, and you can instantly remember them, like months after the dream happened.
Uh-huh.
Like most dreams, you're gonna forget about. But I was talking the other day about one. I wrote down one of my dreams where I went to one of these planets that I had a, like, my, it's so crazy because it was just like one of the planet was like a mirror image of itself. So it was like as above, so below. So it
Mm-hmm.
was like the it was like a Middle Eastern planet. It almost looked like something out of Star Wars. Like it was like desert like that, where I look up and there's like a mirror image of what I'm standing on above me, and then there's this like big portal out in the like outer space,
Mm.
and I like explore around the planet, and I go into like one of the lounges that's on the planet, and I hear the piano playing, and it's my brother-in-law. I don't have a brother-in-law, but he said, I'm your brother-in-law. He starts to run away from me, and he says, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, I'm your brother-in-law. Like, you're not supposed to be here yet. I'm like, I don't have a brother-in-law. Like, he was like, okay, well, this is where you come when you die. Like
Oh
this
my
planet
gosh.
is where you come when you die. And then I woke up because I was just like, oh, that's weird. Like, and I just instantly woke up and I wrote it down, but it was like I still was able to recall it. Most whenever you have like, I don't think that those are dreams. Like when you can recall something
Yeah.
so vividly, just right off the back, like you, most of my dreams, I
Especially a
can't
lot
tell
of
you.
times in those type of like weird dreams, you kind of also remember like getting out of it, like either trying to get out of it, trying to wake up, or like I feel like a lot of times when I do have those type of things that they seem like something happened or it was like some type of real experience, I always like also remember myself like trying to wake up from it.
Right. Right. No. So I see an interesting comment that just popped up in regards to Admiral Byrd and the hollow earth theory. What are your thoughts on that?
So I am a big believer of the inner earth, the Agartha network, all of it. I believe there's a lot of civilizations. They talk about like this honeycomb structure, which is like these civilizations are not right next to each other. They're like completely kind of enclosed. I do believe in like the central sun, that there is some type of inner earth sun that gives,
Right.
and they say that the stuff in there grows like insanely large because it's not being, all the stuff out here. We have so much like things that are preventing things from growing to the point that they're supposed to. And I believe in all like, the Telos and Mount Shasta. That's where I
Yes.
don't know with the flat earth theories and the firmament theories.
Right.
I'm a bigger believer in the hollow earth, inner earth, to be able to fully understand where that would line up.
I agree with you 110% with that. Like where I'm more along of a hollow earther, but before
Hmm.
I'm a flat earther. But I, like I said, at the end of the day, who's right, who's wrong, I don't know. We don't
Obviously,
know.
there's something
So
going on that's a
there,
lie, which is the reason why everyone feels there's a giant lie, but maybe none of us know exactly what the giant lie is.
right. So to there is ringwoodite, and ringwoodite is a form of rock that can hold water. And if you look at, and I like to give flat earthers a little like, oh, maybe you're right here and there, you know. So like you look at the Bible and you look at these different ancient culture depictions, like you look at the Egyptian
Yeah.
sky like hovering over. Um, well, the Bible mentions like the waters above and below, like in the
Hmm.
deep.
And
So
don't
they
they say
discovered,
firmament too in the Bible?
correct. So they discovered a ocean, so to say, underneath Earth's ocean, underneath
Hmm.
Earth's mantle, and it contained ringwoodite, and it was spit up by one of the volcanoes, and like I think Brazil was discovered, and it like contained it contained water. So and it said that there is oceans three times as vast as the ones that are
Hmm.
on the surface
They say
below the
that
earth.
more exactly, like the
So
percentage of water on the surface is such a small percentage compared to the amount of water on the planet.
so in a way, if you think about it, it's kind of making hollow earth right in a way and flat earth right in a way because I mean, you can't, like I said, the Bible is out. You can't really take the Bible. I take the Bible with a grain of salt, you know?
Yeah, well, it's
So,
based off of what they were able to describe at that time.
right, right. So they mention a firmament, they mention waters below. Like there's a lot of stuff that's mentioned there, but it's just like there is scientific evidence that actually proved recently that there is water underneath our earth. So that kind of gave more fuel to the fire that there is possibly a hollow earth. And for those who are not familiar with the hollow earth theory, is pretty much along the lines of uh, Admiral Byrd. They were like he went and he found he was flying and he came across nothing but ice, and then eventually he came across a hole and he entered the hole and he was greeted by these things called flugerods, were these UFO like ships that escorted him down into the earth, and there was a advanced race of beings that were inside the earth, and they talked to them and explained how they weren't impressed with what was going on, World War II, the atomic bomb. They weren't impressed with how earth was handling itself on the surface world, and they escorted him back up, and he was sent to the Pentagon to disclose this information, and he was looked at as he was crazy. So uh he and then he wrote a book like about this entire event. So I think that there's some credibility to this, like that. It's like somebody's not just going to come out of nowhere and make this
And
stuff
I think
up. Like
more planets, the beings are living inside, because that's
right,
kind of like the information that comes through a lot when people channel is like, well, it's not really smart to live on the surface because it's like you're at the whim of weather and sun and gases, and they're like everything could be kind of controlled under. So they say that's another reason why they can't find, on top of the dimensional stuff, that those beings are probably living in other dimensions. The reason
right.
they don't see structures is because most of the other planets they're living inside.
So exactly. So I think I don't know what to believe at this point. Like I'm curious that when I do go beyond, like, to see like who's right, who's wrong, and who, like, what's the point of lying? Is what I want to know. Like, why are we being lied to? Like, why are there people like us that are sent to expose this? And it's crazy how, like, I feel like out of all people, like, sometimes our content gets pushed, and then sometimes it's like, no, we don't want you to, like,
And it's so hard to
that's enough.
tell, because the things like the
Right.
content that will get like suppressed for me will be like stuff that's already been on Ancient Aliens.
Right. And it's like, why when I talk about it, because I do a little bit more digging. Like, I feel like Ancient Aliens kind of like grazes the surface, but now I'm gonna go
And they
like
very
even
like, yeah.
deeper. Like, they lightly gloss over, and I'm like, no, 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 get back to that. There's more to what you're saying. Like,
But it's like
it's
those
definitely
two
a
extra details get you like so suppressed, and it's like,
right. And
it's
the ancient
crazy.
astronaut theorists say yes to everything, like, but it's just like, no, there's definitely more. Like, I think I was more fascinated with the pyramids being power plants. Like, that
Yeah.
was
And the
one of the
lie that they're a tomb. They are not tombs. These are not
right,
giant grave sites.
right. You look at the obelisk and like how I feel like they like Nikola Tesla tapped into all of this. Like, he showed that we can have free energy, and as you see, when you try to give the world free and benefit them, like, that's when you're taken out. Like, I refuse to believe that he died alone, broken, and it doesn't, something just doesn't feel right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was definitely swindled, like, he
Oh,
didn't get
for
it. I
sure.
think
We all
because he
were.
wasn't. Yeah,
It was the
we're
whole,
all
it was a
paying for it,
master
literally.
plan.
Yeah, we're still paying for it to this day. Like, I
It's
think
insane.
like, he wasn't as business savvy, and he was more like for the people, like, and that's where you get screwed when you're for people. It never
Although
works
that's
out in your
changing
favor.
now, because now it's getting to the point where it's inevitable. You
Right.
know, there's no
Yeah.
stopping it at this point because it's people's purpose and you can't
But
stop it.
the thing is, like, people, the number one comment in this in most of those videos, like, why don't we duplicate it? Like, like, why don't we do it again? And what people don't realize is, like, a lot of the people who do this, they're instantly met with, like, the
Oh, yeah.
legality issues. Like, we're such a litigious society, but like, people want to claim they have these patents for this technology, and then when you try to patent it, that's when you're sued.
Uh-huh.
And
Or if they can get the patent, they're not even allowed to turn it on.
right. It's just
Like,
like,
they're
so
literally not allowed. There's people who I've watched interviews that even just turning it on, they're in trouble. And they're like, you could have this patent, but you're not allowed to use it on the grid. That basically you'd need to go somewhere so far away to use this and us to allow you.
Yeah, it's like you took this technology and that was already discovered, you patent it, and then when someone discovers it and you either kill them or you bury them in legal fees. Like you kill them, and either way, you silence them, and it makes a lot of This is why it's hard for our planet to truly ascend, because we're being suppressed. And that's why it's people like you and me and others that are here to like try to lift this consciousness, like lift. I feel like that's just been my entire goal. Like I didn't expect to have a following, but I'm grateful for everybody who comes across my videos and allows me to like vent my mind, because like I can't, when these thoughts come to me, like it's like I gotta get them out. So I do a video. Like TikTok is like a form of a diary where it's like all these like thoughts. I'm like, I want to talk about this because like I don't really have a select, like I group my friends and family. Like I know not to talk to them about this stuff because I'm just the crazy one, you know. I'm just the one who they're like, oh boy, here goes Marco. Here comes him with the conspiracies. I'm like, no, some of the stuff isn't, because I feel like they purposely love like trying to trigger me like with certain things. So they try to get under my skin and like try to rattle me and get me going, and then like, oh, here he goes. Like I'm like, no, I'm here. Look, you can lead a horse for water, but
it only makes you sharper. It only makes you sharper
like,
when they test it.
Like when I tell you, like I did a video on the Federal Reserve that got deleted, so it's like very hard.
Oh yeah, that's one that you can't even.
Yeah, it's like I didn't violate the community guidelines, so I don't know. But my phone is on 10%, so
well, this was so great. Let's try to set this up again sometime. It's going to be on my YouTube. I'm sure you're going to upload it on your YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to figure out how to. This was like what, an hour long, so I'm going
to try to, you can download it from TikTok. So thanks so much for doing this. Thank you for everyone being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad we got to talk.
I know. Good night from the East Coast. Good night, everyone. I'll see you all on the next one.